is 130 degree. You are asked to evaluate cos theta. Now in those days, if you study trigonometry very well, I'm going to show you a full-blown video on this as time goes on. If you are subscribed to our channel, once that video is published, you'll be the first to get it. Now in that video, you're going to learn more on the four quadrants as it has to do with what? Trigonometry. And this quadrant has to do with trigonometry, the angles in trigonometry. Now this angle starts from here. The four quadrants, we used to know it with a sign we call cast, or we call it ax when you go anti-clockwise. What does this mean? This means, or as regard this quadrant, which is the first quadrant, all angles here are what? Positive. Sine is positive, cosine is positive, and tan is positive. Here only sine is positive, here only tan is positive, and here only cosine is positive. Now if we have an angle, that we want to solve, this place, our counting of this angle starts from here, 0 degree, which is theta degree. Now this 130 degree falls on this quadrant, which is the second what? The second quadrant. Now as we solve this second quadrant, remember this will always be your y-axis and this will always be your what? Your x-axis. Now if we take a line from this axis, and we'll count from here to this point. If we take here to be our theta, so that means this little angle here will be what? 180 minus what? Minus theta. Now let's assume now that this place is the y-axis, and on this axis our y is positive, this end is the x-axis, on this x-axis our x is positive, and the hypotenuse is always 1, which is positive. Now if we go about looking for, remember they say you should evaluate what? Cos theta. Now cos in every value, cos, remember your SOHCAHTOA, all in what? In trigonometry. Now cos is adjacent over hypotenuse. Now if we are looking for the cos of this angle, cos of 180 minus theta, now we'll look at cos of what? Angle 180 minus what? Theta. It will give us what? The opposite, the adjacent, which is minus x, over what? The hypotenuse, which is plus what? 1. And if we divide that, we're going to have a negative value. That means the cos for this angle, any angle that falls in this quadrant, will be what? Will be negative. Remember the reason, and that is why we say it's only on this quadrant that all sine is what? Positive. Now that means 138 falls in this quadrant, and as regard that, our cos will be what? Will be negative. Now let's go back to our question. Now if we have our cos theta to be equal to, in this regard, we've come to find out that it's equal to cos of what? Cos of 180 minus theta. And we've come to see that it's what? Is negative. So that means this will give us our cos of what? 135 will give us a negative of this value. That is cos of what? 180 minus what? 135. Now 180 minus 135, our cos of what? 135 will now be equals to negative of what? Cos what? Cos 45. Now this will take us to another special angles that has to do with trigonometry angles. Remember, angle 30, angle 60, and angle 45 are special angles, and we can find the solutions to this angle, be it a cos, tan, or cosine, using this triangle for angle 45. In a full-blown video, I'm going to show you how to derive this triangle. This is going to be 45, and this is 1, this is 1. This is going to give us what? Root 2. Now we're looking at cos of 45. Cos of 45 is adjacent over what? Hypotenuse, I told you. So the adjacent is 1 and the hypotenuse is what? Root 2. So this will give us minus what? 1 over what? Root what? Root 2. Because cos of this is what? Adjacent over what? Adjacent over the what? Hypotenuse. Let me explain it further. That will give you what? Adjacent over what? Over the hypotenuse. So this will now give you what? The adjacent is 1 over what? Root 2. So this will give you a negative value of root 2. That is what cos what? 135 will be equal to. Now if we simplify this further, remember this is in root form and you might not see your result like this. If we simplify this further, we multiply the numerator and the denominator by root 2. That is rationalization in SOD. If you don't know about that, I want you to check out our full-blown video on SOD that will help you know what rationalization of SOD is. It involves multiplying, removing the irrational number, which is a SOD, from the denominator and making it rational. Now, when we solve that, we are going to have this as minus what? Root 2 divided by root 2 in SOD times what? Root 2 is equal to what? 2. So if we do that, we are going to have root 2 divided by what? And 2. That is going to be our final solution. So we will now see that our cos of 135 will be equal to minus root what? 2 over what? 2. That's our final solution. Now you see how simple this question is, but look at all what it takes you to solve this question. Now all you need to do is to know these few principles. And once you do that, in just a touch of your arm, you get the solution to this question. Now, a full-blown video on trigonometry will be dropped on this channel, will be published on this channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, I want you to subscribe to our channel so that you will be the first to get to know about these principles that has to do with the solution of trigonometry. I look forward to seeing you in our next video as we take you on more questions that has to do with strong questions in your JAM as you count down to the date of your JAM examination. I'll see you in my next